I stated earlier how the riots were always likely to backfire given that the liberal establishment would use them as a precursor to state that anybody who has concerns about mass immigration, multiculturalism, and becoming a minority in your own country is some far-right lunatic. This twisting of the narrative is now solidly underway, with the government even informing police to arrest people for inaccurate social media posts. Now, such arrests are ostensibly because of the disorder we've seen recently, but many people are thinking that what's really going on here is Keir Starmer is trying to send a message that anybody who challenges the mainstream narrative will be shut down. Now, you'd expect the BBC and The Guardian to cheer this sort of thing along, but I just read an article in the Daily Mail that wouldn't be out of place in any left-wing tabloid. This really makes you wonder whether the leftist accusation that the Daily Mail is a fascist rag, by the way it got that reputation for backing Mussolini's March on Rome 102 years ago, really is right-wing. To see what I mean, just have a read of this article. The title is "The Truth About the Far Right's Claim That White Brits Are Now an Ethnic Minority." First of all, what do they mean by far right? There is no organised far right in the UK. There isn't any leader stating any perspectives or policies. Secondly, do they mean people with actual far-right leanings, or do they mean people who are just concerned by mass immigration and normally vote a little bit left or maybe a little bit right? Yet the most important element of this title is that this supposed mysterious far-right claim that white Brits are now an ethnic minority. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen anybody claim that white Brits are a minority in Britain already. Predictably enough, the Daily Mail doesn't provide any source who actually said this. The closest thing they offer is this. Similar sentiments have been shared widely on social media over the past few years, with some accounts having claimed that they hate being a white minority. But this, of course, isn't a claim that the majority of Brits are non-white. For all you know, the person that's stating that might live in London or Leicester or Birmingham in an area that's extremely enriched. So my point is that the Daily Mail, which is supposed to be a right-wing fascist rag, is starting on a false premise that a leftist would use. Here's another quote from the piece. Social media posts wrongly claim that the suspect was an asylum seeker who arrived to the UK on a small boat, fueling thugs to spout anti-immigrant and Islamophobic slurs as they clashed with police and looted. Now, it's true that there was a false name circulating online. However, it's extremely myopic to pretend that was the only reason why people rioted. Now, as I keep having to say, because of Starmer's Stasi, I didn't promote the riots, I don't condone the riots, I'm not pro the riots. However, it was clear that many people up and down the country have hit boiling point because many people feel they've been ignored for years and years and years. Yes, there were some thugs and troublemakers amongst them, but these problems are deeper rooted than just a simple bit of misinformation on Twitter. And next, the Daily Mail has created a load of graphs to disprove the thesis that it's made up itself, that white people are indeed a majority in Britain. However, that strategy may well come back to bite them in the backside. As you can see via this graph here, we can see there's an exponential decrease with regards to white Brits. In another 10 or 20 years, that figure will be down to 55 or 60%. Factor in a massively increasing immigrant birth rate, a massively decreasing white British birth rate, and the illegals that aren't accounted for here, and you can see why so many British people are concerned by these figures. Being aware of this trend does not make you some far-right maniac. It means you're aware to what's going on in our country and the likely future our children are going to live in. And as I've said many times on this channel, if that's democratic and the people want that, then fine. But it seems to me every time the British public have been offered a choice between mass immigration or limited immigration, they've chosen the latter. And in response to that, our leaders haven't just ignored us, but actively called us stupid, evil, racist bigots who don't belong in modern Britain, while increasing immigration year on year. It seems to me then that almost all of the mainstream media are taking the globalist liberal line. Yet when you go online or you read the comments under these pieces in the mainstream media, you see that people under almost every piece of content are stating their concerns. They're not all thugs, they're not all violent, the vast majority don't agree with the disorder, however they are concerned with the vast levels of mass immigration and nobody ever seems to address those worries. After all, if the plan is just to ignore the British public and arrest any dissenters, I don't think this is going to end well in the long run. These are just my thoughts, however. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel if I can survive Keir Starmer's purge.